there, it's Jen, and I'm here with a new video for Altenew using their October release. Today on this particular project, I'm going to be using the Grateful Heart stamp set and coordinating die. I am going to stamp in colors to match my photos, so I'm going to stamp the flowers in Rouge, Pink Pearl, and Peach Perfect, and I think that will work nicely. But I wanted to show you something a little bit different that I'm going to do. I like this stamp set because not only does it have the layering stamps, but it has the outline. So you could use them together or separately. And what I want to do is, for the outline, instead of just stamping it, I am going to make it gold foiled. So I have the We Are Memory Keepers, what is this called? Freestyle Quill, foil quill. And basically what this is this little tip gets really hot, and you use a hot transfer foil, a heat transfer foil, and when you draw with the pen, it transfers the material. So let me just really quickly, I did a little test here, but I'll show you just on this scrap piece of paper, if I put it underneath this hot foil and draw right there, I've now got this gold shiny. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp the outline onto this gold foil and then trace it so I get the outline of the image, and then I will stamp on top of it because the foil will resist the ink, and it's easier to trace this and then be able to see to stamp on top of it than it is to be able to trace after you've stamped it. So that's where I'm going to start. I will put you on fast forward and talk you through this process.
So one of the important things when you're stamping on the foil is to use something that is permanent, that will dry quickly. So I'm using Staz ink to stamp that down, and I just want that outline image to show. It's hard to see in the video because the foil is so reflective, but I'm just making sure that I can definitely see that, and I'm stamping those images down so that I can see the outlines well. And I'm going to do each one several times because I want to create kind of a bouquet or cluster of flowers. And I'm using this little We Are Memory Keepers magnetic mat thingy to hold down the foil as I draw. And I've let this heat up for a while. I've got it in that little holster so that it won't burn my table. And I am just tracing the outline of that flower. And I'm going fairly slowly just so I can make sure that I get a nice transfer. This is sped up 4 times, so you can imagine how slowly I'm going. This took a little while, but I think the effect is really cool. And it's different than just heat embossing because the foil has just a flat finish, and I think it looks really cool. I would like to try this somehow with like giving a letterpress look with foil inside. I'll have to play around, but I'm just looking here to make sure that the image has transferred nicely, and it looks pretty good, so you can see it there, and nice and shiny and pretty. And I'm just using gold foil, and then I'm going to stamp. So I decided to do most of this work off camera, but I wanted to show you one full flower. So I just traced the one, and I'm going to stamp it now. So I'm prepping my stamp with a white eraser just to help it grab onto the ink more readily. After you use it a few times, it'll be just fine. But I did stamp this down twice because some of the areas got missed, and I don't know, something might be wrong with my stamp tool, but anyway, I stamped it down, and the gold, as I mentioned before, will resist the ink, and so you don't have to worry about stamping over it. And now I'm going to stamp down my second color. I'll have all of the products that I used in this video listed below in the video description and over on my blog if you want to check that out. Also, this is part of an Altenew release hop, and so if you head over to my blog, which again I'll link in the video description, there will be a blog hop where you can win prizes from Altenew, so definitely check that out. They're very generous. Every month doing this multiple times. So they give away a lot, and they have some awesome products. So there, I've stamped that final color, and now I'm going to stamp the inside little bits, which I didn't think about. So I'm pulling out some colors I think might work. I am going with caramel toffee, maple yellow, and buttercream, and going to stamp the insides here, which are very simple. You could just stamp one color. Sometimes it does give a really nice effect to do all of the layers, but sometimes you can get away with just doing one of the layers and it looks fine. But I am stamping all of the layers here, and I am stamping that final layer with the darkest ink, which is that caramel toffee, which I find is a really good ink color. So I'm going to show this to you up close so that you can see the stamping and the foiling, how awesome it looks. It's a really cool effect, and I was excited to try that with these stamps. So any stamp that you have an outline of, you can do this with. I think it's cool to do the layering stamps on top. Here you can see I foiled a bunch of different images, and now I'm stamping some of the leaves. I'm using Minty Mint something, Mountain Mist, and I can't remember the third one, but again, I'll link to them in the video description. Oh, Volcano Lake, that's the one. I love those colors together, and they looked really good on the leaves. So yeah, just stamping those down and giving you a little look here at how that process is going. You can stamp multiple leaves at once because it makes it really easy with the stamp press to do several at a time. So if you're going to do some mass production like this, it works really well to have a stamp press, but you definitely don't have to have one. You can do it with a stamp block and just lean over and line it up. You just have to be a little bit more careful about it, but definitely doable. So I'm going to stamp the rest of these leaves and flowers. Now there was one image, a floral outline, that does not have an inner color, like it's just the outline stamp, and so I will leave that one just as a gold foil, and I really like that. So I'm going to die cut these out. I'm taping down the dies. I find that when I have these kind of dies that are cutting out a stamped image, I like to tape them down so they stay in place and they have a really nice perfect outline. I really like how close that these particular dies cut to the image. So I decided for my layout that I would start with just some gold mist in the background. So I'm using Altenew Antique Gold. I let that dry, and now I am going to play around with these flowers that I stamped and die cut and foiled. So when I have two photos like this, I find that it's a really good place to either tuck a title or a bunch of embellishments. So in this case, of course, I am tucking in all of those flowers, and I'm going to play around with them a bit. You can see those white ones. Those are the ones that just had, the image was just the outline. It didn't have any inner pieces. And I think that it looks, it's like a kind of a nice rest from the pops of color. I really like the white. I tore off a little piece of that striped pattern paper, which is from one of the 6x6 paper packs, and I want a little bit more of it to show. So I'm adding it to the bottom of the photos there. And now that I've got things kind of where I want them, I'm just going to pick them up one piece at a time and kind of glue them down so that I don't have to rearrange the entire layout. And sometimes I'll do this with a piece of Glad Press and Seal. I've seen Jennifer McGuire do that for cards a lot. It works on layouts too, but I am not doing that here. And then I'm just kind of trying to decide where I want the flowers to overlap, if I want any of them popped up, and I decide that I do. So I'm popping up this large flower just using some foam adhesive, and going to glue down the rest of the pieces that aren't going to be popped up first, since they will be underneath it. And that little word "celebrate" off to the side is from the Live Your Dream Scrapbook collection die cuts, and I felt like it matched well with this, and it went along with the kind of theme of the photos. These are photos of my daughter and two of my nieces at my other niece's kind of wedding celebration. It wasn't like a reception. It was just a small family gathering, and so it was very casual. Anyway, so I'm putting some foam adhesive behind that word celebrate as well. And I'm going to pop that up and layer it beneath the photos. And I'm going to kind of overlap that. I'm pulling up the edges of those flowers and leaves because I feel like the dimension really adds a lot to it. And then I just wanted a couple more things on this layout for embellishment. And so I pulled out I have a Heidi Swapp sticker book, and it's from Color Your Dreams, or I can't remember what it's called. Again, I'll link to it in the video description, but I just pulled a couple of gold foil accents out from here because I wanted to match that gold foiling that I did with my stamping. And I think that it does a lot for it. So I grabbed this little word that says cuteness because those girls are super cute. And then you can see the word to the right of the word celebrate. I had that little kind of little banner shape, and I'm looking for like one or two more things that I can add, and I decide to add just some little hearts, and they will kind of complete my gold foil that I put on this layout. Now I felt like there needed to be something to the left of the photos, and so what I decided to do was grab my foil and my pen again, and I'm writing the girls' names. So this is really cool because I'm using the fine tip pen, and you can definitely write with it. I have done journaling on a layout with this thing. It is super cool. And so I just wrote the girls' names next to the photo there, and now I'm going to add just some little dots all around the layout, kind of like splatter. You can see the splatter in the background, and it's mimicking that, but it's more intentionally placed. And so I'm just doing little dots of gold here and there. And it's a really fun way to add an accent to your layouts. So really happy with the way that all turned out. And I decided I wanted just a little bit more gold. So I'm taking this washi tape from Altenew and I'm ripping it in half. I'm going to place a bit of it underneath that ripped piece of paper. And I think that ripping washi tape is a fun, different look for it that gives, it's a little bit more updated. That's not a word. Less outdated. I don't know. It just gives it a different look than washi tape regularly has. So last thing I'm going to do is stamp my date, and I stamped it next to where I wrote the girls' names because there was a little bit of space there. I thought I might try to add some of these little bows, but I decided against it. And that is going to complete this layout. So I have some close-up photos coming up, and actually, as you're looking at the photos, I'll just tell you about the blog hop. So again, every time Altenew does a release, there's a blog hop where you can win gift cards to Altenew, and it's awesome and lots of inspiration. I have another layout over there, which is an intro for my 2020 album that I will share over there. I don't have a video for that, but you can check it out on my blog. And I hope that you enjoyed this video. There are a couple other videos there for you to check out, and I hope that you'll subscribe. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and for all the links to stuff that I mentioned in the video, check out the video description. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you again very soon.